Hello, listeners, and welcome to the last episode of Saint Seiya. This is your host, Craftsdwarf, here with my co-host, Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
The last of the pretty boys. A sad day.
Kind of. But, well, because, we will be reading Lost Canvas. However, I guess before we get into comments, I do want to mention...
No.
Oh.
I don't know if Discord picked up me shushing you.
Oh.
Then what are you talking about? The series is over.
Okay, no, for some reason it didn't, but your mic should have. So anyway, so yeah, we are taking a hiatus because we have been doing this podcast pretty much not quite straight. Like there's been weeks we've done two podcasts in a row, like every one week after the other, not for a while, and then we've taken a lot of breaks recently. But we just want to break for a little bit. We do want to come back and do. I think the current plan is Lost Canvas, then Boruto. And then the patron poll for the series. The poll will be starting when we do Lost Canvas. So yeah, I don't know how long the hiatus will be. Neither of us do, I think. But
I feel like it's mostly me. Just because this hasn't been a particularly great year for me. I've been dealing just with a lot of stuff, and the podcast has just kind of been like, the more things have gone on, the more it's just kind of like, do I even want to keep doing I don't know. It's just a struggle to get me to do the readings these days, and I just don't feel like I'm bringing as much as I could be to the discussions, and I just kind of need a break. I just kind of
a break, a reset, just kind of put it down for a while, and then come back and hopefully recharge the batteries, so to speak. So we're finishing Saint Seiya. After this, I would not expect another episode of the Nen Show until next year, probably. I don't know when next year, but like I said, but we will finish this one. Just thought you should know. So comments. You said you didn't have any this time?
No, there was one good one that I didn't save, but it was observations about, I don't even remember what they were anymore. God.
Was it Apo talking about the twins?
Yes, that one.
Okay, because I was going to bring that one up.
It was whatever the top comment was.
Though we're probably going to talk about that one, or at least the twins during the discussion, since they do show up. But yeah, that was one I wanted to bring up. The other two I had to mention were, I guess Jellicock mentioned how, the way we were talking about Saint Seiya is, if you, wrote it out, or took it out of context, it might sound like we're making fun of the series, even though, we're not, which, I mean, I don't know, I'm glad that our, at least, intent is getting across, because, that wasn't my intent, but to make fun of the series, but I guess, I could see why, out of context or in transcript form, and admittedly, some parts, I did say, the arrow stuff last time I found a little silly, but it's not that's, normal. I don't know, I just hadn't thought about it, so, reading the comment, I was like, oh, okay, and I think that was all I had to say,
Yeah.
But yeah, we should respond to the comments on this episode next time. It's just a matter of when that next time will be. So, because this is technically the end of the series, and usually we don't respond to these comments by nature of starting a new thing. But that new thing will be also Saint Seiya, so there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
All right, on to the reading. How did you feel about the end of Saint Seiya?
It sure did end. I mean, I feel like, Saint Seiya is kind of mostly a series where, I kind of just get by on the vibes. It's not so much as, I'm super invested in, the deep narrative or characters or anything. It's just kind of I don't know. I don't really know how to, I don't know, just vibes, It's, I thought that, the ending was cool, and I liked what it was doing. I don't know how well I'll be able to, construct that back for the discussion, but the ending itself was just kind of we're done, no resolution or anything here. What is anybody doing after this? I guess it doesn't matter, it's over.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of epilogue or anything like that, right? Which is, I mean, I feel like at this point we have read some old Jump series, so it's we've seen this, right? But I guess for me is I did enjoy the reading. There was some good stuff there. And overall, I thought it was good. I'm not sure if it's my favorite arc yet. But I enjoyed it. And for Saint Seiya as a whole, it's yeah, it's fine. It's just not something I like explicitly like a lot, I guess. Like, I had a good time with it, but not, like we'll talk about it when we get to like the favorite characters and fights and arc rankings later. Because I think the original idea was like, oh, what are our top 5 characters and top 5 fights? And I don't think I have either 5 for either. So maybe characters, but even then I'd have to double check. So yeah. But anyway, getting started on the reading. Hades is showing up and he's doing things, or his minions are doing things rather. Jabu does something. But yeah, since he's the Lord of the Underworld and shit, he brings back the dead. So we see Pisces, Aphrodite comes back, and then he dies.
Yeah, this early part, I was kind of just like I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I guess another thing I was thinking of is because like I felt like Seiya and Shun got way more focused than the other characters.
Yeah.
So I was like, because I'm seeing there's the 5 of them, and but then I'm like, well, Hyoga and Shiryu were there, but Seiya and Shun definitely had the most focus, I would say. But which I guess was surprising because I felt like with such a long arc, they would be able to give all the characters some focus here or there, but that didn't happen in the way I was expecting, at least. So because they were all there in the climax, so yeah. But anyway, Mu fights off the guys, and the ram shows its horns, so to speak, and Seiya comes in, and they basically establish what's going on. Hades and Athena. Like there's definitely some repeated tropes, right? Where because you also have Athena on a time clock later on in the arc, and it's like, okay. But yeah, we do see everybody, but Mu teleports Seiya out of existence. And they do kind of write out the main 5 and focus on the gold saints and stuff. Which I can understand why you weren't super into it. Because the characters are gone and it's focusing on more minor ones. And because they're last time they had the kids do the Poseidon arc, but this time they're trying to keep them out of it and protect them and stuff.
I mean, there were some neat things in here, but again, it's just kind of I liked the vibes of it, but I don't really know how to... I don't know. It was just sort of, I don't know, a long reading. A lot of things happened, and the earliest stretch was just sort of things were just kind of happening at me.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mu fights the 3 former Gold Knights, who, as we find out later, they are actually trying to get a message to Athena. They're the good guys. But I guess one thing I did find neat about this section is that it's kind of the Sanctuary arc again, but in reverse. Where the protagonists are the one using Sanctuary's structure to defend against invaders, where before the protagonists were the ones fighting against that structure. So I don't know, because yeah, it definitely does the same. The same bunch of fights. They go through the palaces. There's even the fire clock again. But yeah, we find out that the former Ares, the master who Saga killed, is involved with Hades and stuff. Oh yeah, and I'm flipping through and we're seeing more of the Hades, Pandora, and what was his fucking name? Rhadamanthys. I pronounced it right, yay. I hope. Oh yeah, I forgot, normally we look for the pretty boys, but Hades has some unfortunate, ugly motherfuckers. There's the frog dude, and it's ew, go away. There was definitely at least one fight I had stuff to say about, but I'm kind of just flipping through, and I'm are these even fights? Oh, I did the stuff with Canon and him sort of facing off because Saga is now working with Hades, come back to life, while Canon is working with Athena, even though he was formerly an antagonist in the previous arc. And then that kind of gets worked into him having to earn trust and stuff. That was neat. Because I guess I don't know. Well, shit, I had a thought, but then I realized that the thought becomes outdated when I think later ahead to the 3 of them trying to get the message to Athena, so never mind, I have to think about that more. But yeah, Scorpio and Canon fight, and Canon earns the trust. Oh right, okay, this is the one fight I liked a lot from this section, and it was Shaka versus the 3 of them.
Yeah.
That was a good one. like it starts with they're on the Buddha's palm, and you know he's Shaka's he's cool. Like, and there's a whole aspect of like they have the one attack where they like if they use it because of the way it works, you know, they basically like are betraying Athena by using the attack.
Yeah.
Oh wait, maybe I'm skipping ahead.
I think what also
oh yeah, okay.
the thing about this arc is that like because you know it's kind of like holdover from Sanctuary where like you know I was kind of struggling to keep track of the characters there. And so when it's like now we're following some of those characters that I struggled to keep track of on top of introducing new ones, I think there was a point where it all just blended together for me, and I'm just like I don't know who's fighting who.
Fair.
Like at least
also,
I remembered like Shaka and Mu and the guy's name that we can't pronounce.
Yeah. Also, I just realized like the Shaka fight starts and then it moves on to a different fight. Yeah. So no, yeah, I understand. It's like because I think I did pretty good at keeping the characters straight personally, but you know there are a lot of characters, right? So but anyway, then we got Roshi versus the one I think that's shit. I already forgot their name. I thought I just said it earlier. The former Ares, the former master, and because they have a whole history. Because they were knights at the same time. And then it turns out that Roshi, like, he takes off his old man skin, and there's a pretty boy underneath, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, that was Galaxy Brain. I appreciate
like, this
that.
is the most, like, Kinnikuman thing where it's just like, okay, this is happening now, motherfucker. You're in my world. We're playing by my rules. You just have to fucking roll with it. And I'm just like, okay... Let's go, I guess.
Yeah, only
like even.
I love the way that they explained it, where it's like my heart only beats like the amount of times it would in a year. So it's like over the course of 267 years, I've only aged 267 days, bitch.
Right, and of course he does have the tiger tattoo to contrast the dragon, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, okay. It was kind of neat, and like, yeah, they have their backstory and stuff. But there's definitely about you know part of me that's like, okay, this is happening right now, because it was just like, what? Oh yeah, there was Mu versus Papillion, the butterfly guy that I kind of completely forgot about. I did remember that butterflies can be a symbol of death, which is also why they're used in Bleach, like when the Soul Reapers like move between worlds, they're accompanied by the butterflies, and when Papillion, like one of Hades' men, is a butterfly, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But I don't remember if I have anything to say about the fight itself. God, I'm already 2 volumes in, or in the 3rd volume. Okay, now we're getting to I'm getting to the Shaka fight that I was I liked. But yeah, Shaka works really well as contrast because he's, you know, the Buddhism representation, so you know he accepts like death and reincarnation as a path to enlightenment. While obviously with Hades' guys is they reject death, and you know they've come back to life and stuff because they don't want to reincarnate and become someone else. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, this was like probably, I think, like if we're going off of vibes, this was probably the most vibes fight of the arc because he just gets all these 2-page spreads and the stuff with like the field and the trees and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, and then like I'm looking at the pages with his backstory where he's just lamenting about the suffering of existence, and there's like the statues and the just you know like and some neat you know there's you know it's Kuramada, the art's neat, and yeah, well like there's even so apparently in the next volume like or I don't at the start of the next volume he mentions that like no, the blank page in the middle of the volume was not a misprint. Like it's which is it's so, like, and you know, I mean, I guess I also thought about Kubo, the heart, where you know, like you know, I mean, he took influence from Saint Seiya, so like that he would do something similar with having a page with at least almost nothing on it, because like in this case, it's meant to like, or how I explained it is, you know, Shaka's being reduced to nothingness by the Athena Exclamation. And yeah, it was really cool. And yeah, because like, you know, Shaka accepts the suffering and impermanence of life, so you know, he, even though he dies, he you know, he's able to give a message to Athena and tell her that like what's, because he understands what he reaches enlightenment. He understands his opponents and why they're doing what they're doing. And it was cool. But yeah, lots of cool art that fight. Like you said, lots of spreads, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, then like I find it is kind of funny that they use that Athena exclamation, and they're like, oh, this powerful attack that Athena's knights can use that they don't. And then like the fight right after that, you have two different trios both about to use the Athena exclamation, and it's like this might destroy everything because it exponentially increases. And it's like, oh boy, fun. But yeah, the Bronze Saints arrive as Athena just asks for the trio to be brought to them, the invaders, and she stabs herself. But yeah, her blood ends up becoming important because it gets on the Bronze Saints, their cloths, which was already, as it we see how that unfolds in the last fight, which was cool. And yeah, then we find out that like there was some fucking 3D chess going on with like we need Athena's blood, and we were given the message, and like it's Athena and Hades are having their battle already in a sense. Oh no, this episode might be shorter than the One Gintama episode.
Yeah, I'm just not here.
Unfortunate. This is why we need hiatus. When we get out of the earlier stuff, maybe you'll be feeling more. We'll see. But yeah, the Bronze Saints charge in. They get in some minor fights. They bring up the 8th sense because 7th weren't enough apparently. That when happens when you get near death, which I guess like fits the self-sacrifice thing. And of course, getting near death is also like tied to the underworld and shit going on. Okay, now we get to the part where I was having a little bit more fun with the arc, because Seiya and Shun get to the gates of hell, and then they need to go through hell, so we get the river. They cross the river. There's the Charon, or Charon, I don't know how to fucking pronounce it. The ferryman.
Yeah, I feel like there was some interesting stuff there with like, Shun having like pure heart, and so like kind of dealing with that, and then there was like the court with the judgment stuff. So there was like, setting up that like recurring idea of like humanity and being
right.
Flaws and stuff.
Right, goodness and right. Well, because like especially like you mentioned with the court stuff, the big thing is that like because like Hades doesn't like humanity or that they are imperfect and stuff. Yet he is surrounded by like in hell, he's surrounded by the worst people. Like even his minions who have that same sort of sense of righteousness. Like there was the one guy doing the judgment. Well, his heart was the heaviest, right? I think they mentioned. So like. He's judging other souls, but he himself is also not a good person. Where, of course, here's Shun coming in, and this fight with Charon kind of like set it in that like, like that's Shun's whole arc is maintaining that sort of purity and innocence and goodness in the face of like all these bad people who are because I felt that was part of his fight in the last arc with Poseidon, and then here it's especially driven home here where and of course then it's kind of flipped on its head later in a way which surprised me. Like I didn't expect Shun to get this level of importance in the Hades arc.
No, me either.
Yeah. But yeah, I also the way the fight ended was kind of interesting because like Charon doesn't even die, he just kind of like sails off and he's still singing and stuff. But yeah, he's kind of a piece of shit, and I don't know. It was I like the whole encounter. But yeah, then we get to the court, and we get some like rare moments of humor. Like I feel like wait, Saint Seiya was there's so many few moments of it like having gags and stuff.
Yeah, that caught me off guard too, because like I hadn't remembered seeing actual comedic bits like this since like the first arc.
Right, like it's been so long, like and so that when the basically it's a library level like be quiet things, and then just Seiya being a jackass. I do like the one face he made when he's got his like tongue sticking out, like that's a silly face. But yeah, it's only a few pages, then it goes into the conflict, and of course like there's the whole like the page where we see Seiya's sins, and it's like your sin. Being alive, basically, like, oh no, you stepped on a bug once, like, oh, that's a sin, right? Because how do you live without, which is directly mentioned later.
Yeah,
But yeah, Kanon's also down there, and he had a brief encounter with Seiya and Shun. Okay, yeah, then we get there's a Cerberus and the Pharaoh, the Egyptian inspired guy, they have the stuff we talked about earlier with the scales. Oh no, and then there's also the liar knight Orpheus, who has this whole thing, which I think is referencing the Persephone myth, because I think it was Persephone who went down to hell with Hades, and she was allowed to return as long as she didn't look back. And then she did look back, and then I think maybe it was tied to the sea. I don't remember the full myth, but because there was the whole thing with Orpheus's backstory where he saw the sun and he looked back and his lover turned to stone and stuff. But yeah, his whole thing was like, by rejecting death and trying to undo the loss of his lover, he was also rejecting his own life and becoming a servant to Hades and stuff. So he ultimately turned against Hades and help defeat Pharaoh. But yeah, then they get to Hades. Orpheus fails to defeat Hades, and then it turns out that Shun is Hades, or Shun is rather, he's the sort of Saori, like she is to Athena. He's supposed to be the one Hades reincarnates into.
Yeah.
And that was like, what? Like, I just, like, again, it kind of caught me completely off guard. And of course, yeah, it's explained that Hades wants to, reincarnate into the purest hearted person, which also, like, he's, like, acting in a shitty way to sort of, like, force, like again, he doesn't care for humanity, and, aside from just existing among the worst of them, he also, like, takes, a good person away for his own sake, right? Which, I guess you could read a sort of passing of the torch here thing, because, like, it starts off the gold saints, and then the bronze saints end up exceeding them and getting even better cloths, where, but Hades is sort of, like, taking from the next generation in a bad way, so to speak, by, like, taking Shun, and, because, like, I think he's also the only of the gods to still have his old body, is the other thing that I think is noted, because I think, Athena's and Poseidon's original forms are, like, long gone, and they can only exist through, like, reincarnation, basically, where Hades still has his old body that become, they go into the, place to fight him and stuff, so I just noticed that, But yeah, Hyoga and Shiryu come back, and it's like, hey, they're back. Also, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I like the various, like, I forget what they're called, but the cloths of Hades' guys, like, I don't know, they got some cool themes going on and stuff, like, the wyvern cloth looks cool. I don't know, I just feel like they stand out a little bit more to me compared to, like, a lot of the the cloths in the Poseidon Arc and the Sanctuary, I guess. Not that they aren't good, but there's definitely, like, maybe it's the animal theming or something. I don't know. There's just a few more that I'm looking through. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a nice one. And I do appreciate how at the end of every volume he shows what all the cloths look like when they're assembled into, like, their form, right? And sort of doing detailed breakdowns of the armor themselves. Like, I like cool details.
I would also appreciate them if I ever stopped to look at them.
Fair. I only give them, like, a brief skim, but it's still neat. But yeah, Shun is being harmed, so Ikki come to protect, as always. And of course we get the flashback with Pandora. Interesting out of context panel with, like, young Pandora holding, like, the baby cloth, and there's just the universe inside of it.
I'm also thinking about, like, the Ikki Shun thing, and it just reminds me of how, like, in the Dragon Ball Z movies, like, whenever Gohan's in trouble, Piccolo, that'll be his entrance into the movie.
That's
and so it's
right.
Like, that's Ikki.
Yeah. But yeah, Phoenix. Ikki being so strong, like, I guess it fits because there's the whole mechanic of, like, attacks only work once on any given saint, so that, so he's the Phoenix. If he can survive any attack, he's the strongest, because he gets hit by everything and then he just overcomes it. Which, I mean, of course, all the others, Bronze Saints, like, do overcome too, but, like, he's mechanically, like, more fit for it because of the Phoenix cloth and its repair qualities and such. But yeah, Ikki's cool. That's what I think I was going with there. But yeah, like, we even get more of the flashback in, Ikki protected Shun from Hades, basically, as a kid. And then they of course do the whole, like, you're in there somewhere fight where, Shun is within Hades, also fighting against Hades. I was also a little like, damn, when, like, Seiya fucking punches into Shun and pulls Hades out, and it's this fucking horrific looking monster that transforms into a fucking alien, like as in franchise alien almost, and it's like Jesus. Kuramada's like designs sometimes, I swear. And yeah, of course, it's fitting that Hades, who holds humanity to the standard of perfection, like his true form is like this gross monster. So
yeah,
and Athena pleads to Hades so that he won't put the Earth into a permanent eclipse. And yeah, they're taken to Elysium, the land of where the mortals can't easily go. And yeah, in the big passing of the torch moment, which is pretty cool, all the Gold Knights come in like with their loyalty that surpasses death, so that they can bring sunlight to the wall and punch a hole through it.
Yeah,
it was cool spreads and stuff. God, that's like a whole like 2 chapters of just like fucking big spreads of the Gold Knights like working together, and it's also cool when they actually get in through the wall and you see like it's another like cool space spread. Like the way he draws space with the kind of like vertices, right? The or whatever they're called, the graph like thing that represents the folds of space. Like I don't know, it's kind of cool.
Oh wait, are you talking about like the? Maybe I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like a bunch of squares, like a graph, a piece of graph paper, or that's like folded or shaped to fit like because like I've seen it in science visualizations to represent like the gravity wells, right? And space, and so he'll kind of draw those to represent space, and so like when they break into Elysium, like you see all that, and then the spatial objects like planets, meteors, rocks. I don't know, it just looks really cool.
Yeah.
And there's just a brick wall punched into it, right? Yeah, it's oh yeah, and of course like they fight like Hayes' top 3 guys, and then they get beaten but it's okay because they're, well, I mean, like, oh yeah, that's right, Pegasus and the swan cloth sprout wings, because of course they do. But of course the final foes in Elysium aren't the humans, they're Thanatos and Hypnos, they're gods.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense as a logical progression.
I also realized I completely missed it when we were talking about the Phoenix thing. I just have a screen cap of the one panel where it's like Ikki, like Pandora's trying to like kill him or something, and he like knocks her down. And it's like, I'm an equal opportunity fighter,
I
man.
forgot to mention that. Yeah, that was based? Question mark? Oh, no, wait, hold on.
I mean, compared to everybody else who's like, oh no, I can't, I don't know. It's just,
yeah, that's right.
It's interesting that it's Ikki who is the one.
I forgot about that, because it was brought up where like Seiya wouldn't hit a girl, and that ends up not getting challenged, right? So he just won't, and yep. Because he doesn't have to be challenged if he never fights a woman. Because that really like stopped happening after the first arc with Sheena and Marin, and all that got resolved. So but yeah, Pandora regrets her mistake and sort of passes her will on to Ikki as he goes on to Elysium. And of course, Pandora was the one to open the box and release Thanatos and Hypnos. But yeah, then we see Elysium, and it's basically like Hades' ideal, right? Where it's perfect. There is no sin or suffering or even blood, and like Seiya comes in and he's beaten and bruised, and everyone like freaks out because they've never seen anything like this before. The nymphs, like even Thanatos and Hypnos, well, we can't just like beat the shit out of them because like we don't want to stain the flowers in blood. That like defeats the point. They fight anyway, but and of course there's still like Athena's there in the pot. So it's like there's still bad things here. Oh yeah, and then it turns out Marin wasn't actually Seiya's sister. She was actually there the whole time, and she just had amnesia and stuff. And it's like, okay, neat.
Yeah, Seika, I just feel like what even was Marin? Like, did she matter at all?
Yeah, like at that point, like with all what she got, I feel like she might as well have it might just make her like Seiya's sister at that point. Like, I don't know. It's cool how it works out into the final fight with Seika praying for Seiya and stuff, but I don't know. It's like, okay, yeah, this is his sister, I guess. She's finally here, and it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Like, I feel like at least the other girl, the Sheena, she did some stuff in the Poseidon arc. So I feel like I have more of a grasp of her character, whereas Marin was just always kind of this aloof, mysterious, like role model,
maybe say
mentor
his sister,
figure.
but maybe not. Woo!
Yeah, and then
now
it's
like,
just
well,
like,
now she's
well,
not.
she's
So it's like,
not.
okay, yeah, it kind of like, I don't know. Like if this moment, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't work to give these moments. I guess like, I mean, maybe she could have lost her memory. I don't know. Like could have done something with that. Like I don't know. It's
Well, and like,
I don't know.
you know, she doesn't fight anybody or do anything.
Yeah, right. Like she was there in Sanctuary, but yeah, like you said, at least she didn't get anything Poseidon or Hades either. So yeah,
And like even at
unfortunate.
least with Saori as Athena, like I feel like there was more that I was looking for out of like her character over the course of the story that I just kind of didn't really have any reaction to the stuff that happened. But like at least she got something, but like Marin was just there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. See, and I guess the other thing is like, because some people have said they really like Saint Seiya's anime, and I do wonder like, did it give more original content and stuff that's good that people like and think is good? Because obviously we're not watching it, so I wonder. So now I'm wondering like, because normally we haven't talked a lot. Like in this case, like what we feel is like maybe this could have been more interesting or more toward likings. And I'm wondering like well, did the anime give more and more stuff to do, or I don't know. Like it's just a thought I had because yeah, I don't know. Maybe someone who watched the anime will have anything to say, or maybe there's stuff we missed about their characters. I don't know. We weren't exactly the most invested in Saint Seiya.
I also feel like, the anime would probably, like, I feel like it would make the pretty boys prettier with the addition of, like, anything to distinguish them from each other.
No, I've seen the designs and the color seems really big, as far as, like, making it easier to tell characters apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, everyone cheers for Seiya. And I love how the fucking powers in Seiya are so crazy that fucking like Hypnos and Thanatos can literally like attack across, or even not even just them. Like so many characters can just attack across dimensions. Like Seiya's got the power of friendship behind him. So which one is this that he's fighting? I'm bad. To be fair, they're harder to tell apart. Like these specific characters, and yeah, he fucking attacks Jabu and everybody like on Earth, God knows, like in a different dimension and shit. And it's like or a different plane. And it's like holy shit. I like that kind of. It's fun. But yeah, everyone teams up to go against them, and then I got pretty fucking hype when Poseidon lends his aid too, because I was like, because they're like, well, only a god could go through the walls. And it's like, wait a minute, there is another god.
Yeah,
and fucking Poseidon, the god of the sea. I thought he was actually just gonna come in and help, personally. He didn't, but with how he sent the gold cloths to them was still pretty cool. And even because like Poseidon also wasn't very big on humanity, but he was more like. He cared about the earth and, what the humans were doing to it was bad to him, where Hades just rejects, like, humanity, not seeing their place and not being perfect at all in their entirety. To protect the earth, Poseidon's going to help Hades, help Athena defeat Hades. Like, he has a mutual interest, even though he was formerly, like, against, Athena. So that it was, we see Julian, and he's good.
I feel like Poseidon getting involved is kind of similar to like when like the what are they called? I keep thinking the Fullbrings, like when that group of characters shows up at the end of Bleach and they kind of do a little thing.
Right,
it's
right.
Just like,
yes. No, yeah, that was I know, I understand. Yeah, and in general, I do like part of the reason I do think I like Shounen is because it is really cool when you have old antagonists coming in and being helpful, and there's the redemption aspect there, right? Or like a weirder, smaller example, but like in One Piece, where Luffy goes to Impel Down and he runs into all these former antagonists and like ends up making like a short like breakout crew with them, right? Like that kind of stuff in general is just really cool. So here's the Poseidon, the former antagonist, he's helping out, and it's always cool.
It got a reaction out of me, so it was good.
Yeah. But yeah, they get the gold cloths, and because humans are the only ones who can make miracles, they're able to get the god cloths, because they have, Athena's blood on their armor. And so now the Bronze Saints that have overcome so much are able to fight on the level of gods. So they beat the shit out of Hypnos and Thanatos, and then as they go to save Athena, we get the fight against Hades proper, which is like the only time like thus far that one of the big three gods like actually fight, because like, you know, Athena doesn't get her god cloth until after the fight or during the fight, and Poseidon, like, I guess, you know, he was there, but he wasn't like very conscious or active in his like there wasn't as much of a fight. It was more of like his energy is so overpowering that it's sending our arrow backwards, and we're trying to like hit him with the arrow anyway. Like they're fighting against his like aura basically, less than they're fighting against Poseidon.
Yeah.
So but here they're actually like, Hades is actually like, let's fucking go, boys. And yeah, I like his, you know, he talks about how, you know, humans should fear and revere gods, not fight against them. Like, just, you know, accept your fates and lie down. But they don't, and they wound him, and they piss him off, and it's it's cool. And yeah, Athena coming out in her god cloth is cool. Yeah, I did like the last fight. You got the humans and their love, and their, you know, they have life, so as long as they have life, and it's just so hot-blooded, and it's Shounen. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, like I did like what was going on here. And, you know, like the idea, you know, the stuff about humans being, you know, they can't be flawless and whatever. And miracles and stuff. Yeah, it's very Shounen.
Yeah, and they beat Hades, and wait, how could I be beaten in my own domain? And rip bozo. And like, you know, love was just invented by humans. It's not even real. It's just chemicals, bro. Hades is just like, yeah, love is just chemicals in your brain. But yeah, he lost, so I guess he's wrong. But yep. The sun comes out, and it literally just ends like straight. Like, yeah, there's no epilogue. Like, I guess they're just stuck in hell.
Yeah, like that. That kind of surprised me. That it was, you know, like we've talked about before about how like, oh, you know, shonen manga often do like the final battle and then like the tiniest bit of epilogue and then it's over. But this time it was like,
yeah,
literally the fight ends and that's it.
Well, because like I'm thinking about all the old manga we've read, and it's like, so Kinnikuman, it just ends. Like they finish the final battle, Kinnikuman revives everyone, and it's just over, right? Like there isn't an epilogue. Ashita no Joe literally ends like right at the end of the final fight, where Joe sits down. The match is called Joe, and last page, boom.
Yeah,
right?
although it worked. It really worked with Joe.
No, 100%. Like, it's definitely not a criticism. It's just more of an observation. But at least in Saint Seiya or Kinnikuman, maybe because like Dragon Ball did get actually something of an epilogue, right? Like, yeah, it's still really short, but like, you know, we see what happens after, and we see where Goku goes. And of course, that's just notwithstanding like the rest of the franchise. I'm just talking about the original manga and how it ends, right? But yeah, it's just kind of funny how like, because like you've wanted a longer epilogue and stuff, and I mean, Gintama happened, but we don't talk about Gintama here.
No, that doesn't count. The other thing I was thinking was like Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yes. I was trying to remember Yu Yu Hakusho too. It came to mind and I forgot about it. But
because that's like a very kind of specific case.
Yeah, a very unique case based on like how the manga ended. You know, with Togashi not wanting to do it right, but it was still interesting how it rounded out, because you know he basically went like, okay, you know, we got the we got like a bunch of weird chapters like romance, but that was also part of the falling action and after the climax, and it was that pretty standout in regards to at least, you know, manga I've read from around the time period. The same thing, it just ends. Oh well, rip. Okay. And yeah, we get a bunch of there are pages with the you know, character data and such. There was a popularity poll for like attacks, but I did not see any for characters that I remember.
Yeah.
So, which is weird, because even the one for attacks mentioned up character popularity, but it didn't. I don't remember seeing any of those polls, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like commenting on it too much, but
like, oh, attack popularity polls. I sure do care about those.
It's maybe if it was a 2-page spread popularity poll, I mean, what's the difference?
If it was an aesthetic popularity poll, who's the prettiest pretty boy?
Right. So I guess we'll go into our rankings and stuff. I guess I'll start because I know at least a little while ago you weren't prepared. So for my arc rankings to go from least favorite arc to favorite arc, my least favorite is probably the Galaxian tournament. Like, good setup and stuff. I do like Ikki, but I guess Ikki's also the kind of character where I like him more for what happens after, even though his stuff in the arc was pretty good. But it's fine. My second after that would probably be Sanctuary, which was cool stuff. One of my favorite moment and fight in the series. That's counting both the silver and gold saint stuff, by the way. So that's counting that sort of interim part as Sanctuary as well. Obviously for like the episode order, we didn't separate Galaxian Tournament and Sanctuary, but I felt like it. So after that would probably be Hades, which definitely has some cool stuff. But I think the reason I have Poseidon as my first arc is because like it's just kind of neat and compact. Like it's the shortest major arc, and but it's still got really good stuff, and and I like that discussion too. So I'm just and at the end of the day, they are really close to each other. Like that's the thing about Saint Seiya is that like it's very clear about what it is, and it's the kind of thing I feel like I don't know, it's weird to me thinking about maybe people because I remember hearing that apparently in the fan base the Poseidon and Hades arcs are just considered like it's just Sanctuary again, but not as good, right? With like it gets the same thing that Bleach does, but like it's just I don't think it's not as good. I think it's like just as good. Like it's just a matter of like slight differences in preference, right? Like if you don't care for Seiya and Shun, you probably aren't going to like Hades because there's more Seiya and Shun and Ikki, right? In comparison to where the earlier arcs had more Shiryu and Hyoga in comparison, right? So like that's I don't know because like if you like what Saint Seiya is, you probably like really like all of it, right? Where in my case, like I'm fine with what Saint Seiya is, so I'm fine with about all of it, right? I don't know. So like so I'm ranking arcs, but it's also like there isn't that much difference between them, in all honesty. Because at least for me, and because I liked it, but yeah. So that was my arc ranking. If you want to give yours.
Well, I feel like for me, Saint Seiya definitely kind of like hits its stride. I think as far as like, I feel like it's most like thematically, I don't know. It was like the most noticeable stuff for me was definitely like Poseidon and Hades, I think.
Yeah.
Because, like Poseidon and Hades, I guess they kind of have similar sort of like themes that they kind of like work together just from different angles.
Right.
Of like how, Poseidon wanted to like cleanse the earth of like evil people. And, Hades also kind of has the whole thing going with like judgment and, that sort of stuff. Personally, I don't know. It'd be kind of tricky for me to give like a concrete ranking, but I definitely think like Poseidon and Hades, I probably have, I don't know. They're probably like more higher up. Cause I mean, I don't know. Sure, Hades didn't really have much Shiryu content, which is disappointing. But I feel like, I don't know. I don't know if I can even really say a particular favorite. Like maybe Poseidon? I don't know. I feel like I might have enjoyed Hades more if I was like at all here. But I'm just so burnt out by this point that it kind of just all just happened at me.
Understandable. So anyway, characters. For me, I think my favorite was probably Ikki. I think he had a lot of good presence, and I honestly, Ikki versus Shaka is probably just like my favorite stuff in the whole manga, just because like I was losing my shit when Ikki had that great page of him showing up, and the fight turned out to be interesting. So even if there's other moments and fights that I like, that one just stands out to me for getting like the biggest reaction out of me. And so yeah, I did like Ikki and his conflict of just because he was he started out as an antagonist more so than Hyoga, I feel. Where Hyoga didn't get a lot of time to shine as an antagonist before it was just kind of like lumped with the characters. Ikki was the first major antagonist, so he has that going for him. That was cool. Shiryu, he's a goofball. I have his bingo chart. It's always filled out of going blind or being blind and dying in a fight and back to like we talked about it last time. It's good, but what's sad that he didn't get anything in Hades, but he's cool. He's a good boy. Shun, I also really like holding on to his kindness. Pretty boy with chains. That's funny. That came up. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no, Shun had some good moments too. And I guess after that, I can't think of anyone else that really stands out to me. Sorry.
Yeah, I had something kind of similar where, like, if I had to rank the main 5, it would probably be, like, Shiryu, Ikki, Shun, and then, like, I don't know, it's still kind of a toss-up with Hyoga and Seiya. Because I wasn't particularly interested in either of them. I mean, I did kind of like, Poseidon's conflict. That was cool. Shaka had his cool moment there in Hades.
Yeah, I was gonna give an honorary mention to Shaka because like he's in like 2 of my favorite fights, so it's like I mean, Shaka's cool.
Yeah, I think also the stuff with like with Canon and
they were also
the other guy,
Saga,
the
right?
Other guy. Saga, yeah.
Yes.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, see, it's like for me, it's like it's those 3 characters who I like, and then like a bunch of characters I can think about, like they're pretty cool. And then obviously, like if there's just a lot of characters generally, like Jabu has to have like the honor mention as like the meme character for the Nen Show, right? Like because we lost our minds in that first reading where it's like, wait a minute. Like I think someone even mentioned in the comments of the last episode that, or no, maybe I was seeing a discussion on Discord. Now I don't remember. But like apparently, I don't have a source for this. This could be just completely wrong. But that Jabu was intended to be kind of a rival character for Seiya, but maybe because it was too similar to Ring Kakuro, he didn't do it. So you have this character who feels like a rival character, but then just kind of has like maybe a moment every arc or so at most. Jabu, honor mention to Jabu. He gets the Nen Show award for biggest meme.
Yeah. Because I remember, like, back in the first arc, I was legitimately interested in what was being set up between Jabu, Seiya, and Saori, and then it just went nowhere.
Nope.
And also, I guess, I remember back in that first episode, I kind of mentioned Saori kind of in relation to Yoko, as far as, like, being this very important sort of character. Honestly, though, like, I didn't end up being really... I don't know if I'd say I was interested in Saori at all, honestly. No,
I kind of agree, especially because, go on.
Well, she had, like, her role as Athena, and, like, she embodies a lot of, some of the like, drive... She's, like, a driving force of, like, the thematic stuff, like, being the one to forgive humanity and stuff like that. But I just don't... I don't know. She doesn't feel like a character to me. She's just kind of like
I think
there.
Because like the way I'd heard her talked about is she was kind of I've heard her compared to Orihime, and especially with how fans think of her. And then we noticed the Yoko comparisons, which I realized, that makes sense because Kuramada likes Ashitanojo. But at the end of the day, I don't think she's even close to being as good at interesting or either of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I like Orihime though.
Right, like, which if you haven't seen on What the What's channel, he has a fucking phenomenal video on Orihime if you haven't seen it. And Yoko, I don't think there's a good video per se, but if you haven't watched our Nen Show discussion, we both like her and think she's really fucking good. Whereas Saori, I'm not like dismissing her or anything, but I just didn't get anything that much out of her, or at least not as much as I was hoping. So I'm not, this is opportunity. If someone wants to lead a great Athena Saori comment, that would be cool. Because I didn't
I'm
dislike
sure that there's
her.
something there,
like,
like when I brought her up, like in comparison to Marin, it's like at least I can get something from her.
Right. Well, because she is there, like stating like the theme of the series, right? Like she's the one who loves humans and accepts them and sacrifices herself for them, right? And she's a god, but she also like, and because the series seems pretty like self-sacrifice is based, right? So like all the characters have their self-sacrificing attacks. Well, Athena sacrifices herself a lot too, right? So like she's good for the ideas and stuff, but I guess beyond that, I don't like love her. I guess where like Yoko, I think is legitimately like really interesting. And such, right? So
I think I'm also just like a little uninterested in how like she sacrifices herself all the time. So it's always like we gotta go rescue Athena. And it's like like I wouldn't lob that. I don't think I lobbed that complaint at like Bleach, with like Orihime of like, oh no, it's just go save the damsel in distress again. But like here it was if she was more of an interesting character and I cared, then maybe I wouldn't care. But I'm just grasping, begging for anything for me to be interested in this character.
It's so sad. But if we're done with characters, we can move on to fights.
LOL.
Yeah, there sure were fights, says Mathwiz. Yeah, see, I liked Ikki versus Shaka. Like I said, it's probably my favorite in the series. Everyone versus Hades was pretty cool. The last fight, basically. And I think I also like Shaka versus the three former Gold Knights in this arc was also, like, talking about it again. I was like, yeah, I know, I like that one. But, I think that's about it for me. Because there's so many other fights. And yeah, I guess, like, honorary mention to Seiya versus Shiryu in the first fight, in the first arc. Both because, like, it was cool, and also, like, and yeah, it was, like, I still think it's very funny and silly that, like, okay, to bring Shiryu back to life, you have to punch him, but backwards. Like, it's so absurd and goofy, like, I love it, okay? Like...
Yeah, for me, it's kind of just, like, take your pick of any Shiryu fight.
Okay, fair.
The boy takes his clothes off and he goes blind and he dies, but he still wins.
He's good, yeah. What a series! I am glad I read it for sure. Even if I didn't, like, love it, I'm still glad. Like, hey, I have perspective on, like, this.
Yeah.
Because especially, like, it isn't a big series in English speaking communities, but it's still, like, really notable in Latin America and Japan. So now I have some context for it, even if I don't have, like, the full context.
Yeah,
like,
I at least felt like, even with, like, our comment section, like, I felt like the comments are more consistently interesting when talking about Saint Seiya. So it's cool that it's just cool to see people, the influence of the series, I guess.
And also try to go back and remember to listen to that podcast that was posted, I think, on the first episode, where because now I at least, like, I don't know if spoilers were ever an issue with it, but now I don't have to worry, right? Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, and, like, now that I think about this, like, the comments on this it's almost reminiscent of the comments on our Bleach podcast. Of, like, people being like, no, here's what's actually going on.
Right, no, yeah, so, and it will be a while before, like, we talk about the comments on this episode, but, I do hope, and, now that we have the series in its entirety, like, you don't have to worry about spoilers, right? So, like, what why do you like this character, like, that we weren't into? Like, that's, cool. Even if we don't talk about them, it'll be neat to read them. So, yeah.
Like, even if, I'm just kind of burnt out on everything right now, I still did like that we read this series, because I like the perspective. And like, all, what was one of the main reasons why I was interested in reading Saint Seiya, to see, like, the influences it had on Bleach and stuff. And I sure did get a lot of those, so on that point it delivered.
Yeah. So anyway, next time, which, I don't know when that will be, but we'll be reading Saint Seiya Lost Canvas, which will be chapters 1 through 95. So that's a long reading. Oh no. Though
it's okay. We'll have plenty of time.
Though I will also say, because I mentioned we're going to also read Boruto. Maybe we'll do that instead next as a way to break up the Saint Seiya or something. I don't know, like, as a just I haven't even brought it up with Mathwiz yet. This is the first time I mentioned it, which would be chapters 24 through 55. So I'm just, like, offering that as, like, so maybe if you see, and you might still see uploads on this channel, because there's still the Nono show, which Mathwiz was talking about watching the last season 4 of Ojimata Doremi. Tropical Rouge Precure ends in, like, February or March. So,
and at least with Magical Girl anime, I don't end up, like, having to cram everything in the span of every other week.
Right, like, because the Nono show isn't scheduled, you're just sort of, like, able to freely consume as you please, so you consume what you're interested in, so you have something to say, right? Where, if you just, like, I've been, cracking the whip on the Nen Show for the last 4 years, so maybe I should, stop being, doing that, I guess.
No, if anything, I feel like it has been especially bad this last year, give or take.
I feel like since we, hold on. Because, after we did the Heaven and Hell block, like, you were there for Fairy Tale, right? Like, so even though it's still one of your least favorite series we've discussed, but, like,
I think it was Gintama. I think it was Gintama that finally.
I think Kinnikuman was before that. I think it was, like, the 1-2 punch of Kinnikuman and Gintama that just, like,
well, yeah, because, like, Kinnikuman, we were doing it, like, I moved in the middle of while we were covering that.
There was a break. You're right.
Like,
yeah.
But then, like, with Gintama, that was just sort of where it was really endless. Long. Yeah. It went on forever, and and then by that point, like, I was getting stressed out with work and stuff, and it was just like everything happened, and then other stuff, and it has not been a good year.
Yeah, so like even when we got to Dragon Ball, a series where, you know, and to be fair, like especially compared to Gintama or Saint Seiya, you were way more into the Dragon Ball discussion.
Yeah.
But like also it's fucking Dragon Ball. But like, you know,
yeah, like it's kind of hard not to be.
Right, but then maybe you would have been more into it if you were like less, you know, right. So you know what I'm trying to say. I think. So yeah, well, we need a break. Or mostly Mathwiz, but I mean, I'm still doing stuff on the Weeb Club, of course. But I'm not gonna mind the break either, since that's just a little bit more free time to do. Like, haven't had a video uploaded in a little while. Personally.
Oh, you haven't had a video.
I know.
I
realized I was saying. I was like, shit.
You haven't uploaded a video in a while.
Shit. I'm sorry. I mean, okay.
That's also part of why. Well, like, I'm hoping that, you know, putting the podcast on hiatus, I'll have more time and maybe I can actually make videos. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
I hope so. I want to see another Mathwiz video, but yeah. So thank you for listening, and I don't know when, but we will see you next time.